Hey everyone, welcome back to Learn Land Facts. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any mind-blowing facts. Today we're diving into something truly bizarre and fascinating. What would happen if gravity suddenly stopped working? Gravity is the invisible force that keeps everything in place, but what if, for just one day, it vanished? Let's explore the chaos that would unfold. Before we dive into what happens if gravity stopped, let's quickly break down what gravity actually is. In simple terms, gravity is the force that pulls objects toward one another. It's what keeps you grounded on Earth, why the moon orbits the Earth, and why the planets circle the sun. Without gravity, nothing would stay in place. It's basically the glue of the universe. Alright, let's imagine this. One day, out of nowhere, gravity just stops working. What's the first thing that happens? Well, you and everything else on Earth would immediately start to float. People, animals, cars, furniture, everything that's not attached to the ground would lift off. This might sound fun at first, like floating in space, but it would quickly turn into a disaster. But that's just the beginning. Without gravity pulling things down, Earth's atmosphere wouldn't stay put. The air, clouds, and even the oceans would start to rise. The oceans would essentially spill into space. Imagine massive walls of water being lifted into the sky, along with the air we breathe. So pretty soon we'd be struggling to breathe as the atmosphere itself drifts away from Earth. Another major problem. Without gravity, Earth would no longer orbit the sun. Right now, gravity is what keeps Earth in a steady orbit, maintaining our seasons and the distance from the sun. If gravity suddenly disappeared, Earth would fly off into space, drifting in whatever direction it was moving at that moment. And without the sun's heat and light, we'd freeze within days. It'd be a total nightmare. Now what about everything else on Earth? Well, remember that without gravity, objects would no longer have weight. Everything would be free to move. But there's another law of physics to consider. Newton's first law of motion. Objects in motion stay in motion, so if you push something, it wouldn't stop until it hit something else. You could send a book flying across the room and it wouldn't stop. It'd just keep going. Chaos. Let's talk about what would happen to our bodies. We're designed to live with gravity. Our muscles, bones, and organs rely on it to function properly. Without it, our muscles would weaken very quickly, and our bones would start to lose density. That's why astronauts in space, where there's much less gravity, have to exercise every day to avoid muscle and bone loss. But in a world with no gravity, we'd deteriorate even faster. In the long term, Earth would continue drifting further and further away from the sun, plunging us into eternal darkness. The temperature would drop dramatically, and eventually, Earth would become a frozen, lifeless planet. Without the sun's gravitational pull, there would be no more heat, no more light, and life as we know it would cease to exist. So, before we wrap up, here are the top 5 crazy things that would happen if gravity stopped working. 1. We'd all float away. Everything not anchored to the ground would lift off. 2. The atmosphere and oceans would disappear. We'd lose all the air and water as they drift off into space. 3. Earth would fly off into space. Without the sun's gravity, Earth would leave its orbit and drift aimlessly. 4. Total chaos and movement. Objects in motion would never stop. Imagine the chaos. 5. The Earth would freeze over. Without the sun's warmth, Earth would turn into a frozen wasteland. As cool as it might sound to float around like astronauts, life without gravity would be pretty terrifying, right? It's one of those forces we take for granted, but without it, our world would literally fall apart. Luckily, we don't have to worry about that happening anytime soon. Gravity is here to stay, keeping us grounded, safe, and connected to the universe. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and hit that subscribe button for more awesome content from Learn Land Facts. What other what-if scenarios would you like me to explore? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.